For a fifth game this season, Jaxon Smith-Njigba was absent from the Ohio State lineup. What is going on with him? Will he return to the field? These are things that come to my mind when thinking about Njigba. We'll also discuss them today on Locked on Buckeyes.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Buckeyes for the Locked on Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Tuesday, November 1st in the year 2022, and I want to thank you for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. On today's episode, we will discuss one thing the offense can do to make things easier for them the next time they're on the field. We'll also discuss how to fix Ohio State's running game. But before we get to any of that, Jaxon Smith-Njigba for the fifth time this season was absent from the Ohio State roster and lineup in a football game. He's only played 3 games this year. That's still astonishing to me and wild to think that the guy who caught 96 balls last year, had over 1,600 receiving yards a year ago, had 15 receptions in 2 separate games, has not played a lot in 2022. He has a nagging hamstring injury. And if you know anything about hamstring injuries, they're tricky. Right when you think things are back to normal, things are A-okay, it comes back to bite you, and you're back on the sidelines once again. Well, Njigba is a player that I believe would help Ohio State. I don't know if they need him on the field, but I do believe his presence and his capability, when he's at full strength, he can help the Buckeyes be a better offense. But he is absent. Why was he absent from the roster and really from the sidelines and the trip to Happy Valley this past weekend? Well, last week in preparation between the Iowa game and the Penn State game, Jaxon Smith-Njigba did not practice at all last week. He was actually away from the team, and this is coming from a report from Austin Ward, who covers Ohio State for Rivals.com. He stated, and this was confirmed by multiple sources, that Njigba is outside of the team getting a second opinion about his injury. That's never a good sign. Now, I don't care if you're in college or if you're in the pros. If you go outside of the team, outside somewhere else to get a second opinion about some medical things going on, that's not the best sign. Now, in college, you might say, Jay, they might not have the best doctors. They might not have the best this. They might not have the best that. But Ohio State is one of the schools around the country that you would expect to have the best doctors with the football team, doctors, and the best medical staff every single Saturday. I have my own concerns and questions. It is not just about the medical staff, but just the makeup and what's going on in practice, about why there were so many players on the availability report that are not available, tongue twister, forgive me, that are not able to play the football games every single weekend. I question that. I wonder what's going on. It's a little odd at times to see Cam Brown on there consistently and so many guys who are out for the season. It's weird. Happened last year, happened the year before that. It's my third full season covering Buckeye football for the Locked on Podcast Network, and it's happening once again this year. Things are odd. But Jaxon Smith-Njigba, as odd as it is him going outside of the team to get a look and to get a second opinion about his injury, I think we can make this statement and wonder if Njigba will be a Buckeye again this season. And my first thought is no. I would not be shocked if Njigba does not return to Ohio State. If you're losing trust in the medical staff and you're dealing with a hamstring injury and maybe another injury due to overcompensating for the original injury, it makes me wonder if he's going to return to the team. My gut says no. I said it over the weekend. This thought has been in my mind. I think he's done. Now is it a transfer portal? Does he go to the NFL? What does he do? I don't think he's a first-round receiver if he goes to the NFL at the end of this season. I have not talked to Ryan Roberts of RiseandDraft.com about this. We will talk to him about that at the end of the season. Actually, honestly, I might be able to get Ryan on the show here soon to have an in-season draft conversation about a player who has only caught 5 balls this year for 43 receiving yards, 0 trips to the end zone, no carries. I might find a way to get Ryan on the show to just give us a look at the NFL draft, an early look at that, and say, well, Ryan, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening. Here's what Njigba, here's some actions that he is doing and taking right now. Do you think he's a first-round receiver if he's only known as a slot receiver and NFL teams think he's going to be a slot receiver in the NFL? Do you think he's going to be someone among the guys you have talked to? Do you think he's going to be somebody that could be a receiver that is a first-round pick? My guess is no. To be honest with you, I don't even think that if he was on the team right now, if he's on the field, I still think Harrison Jr. is a go-to receiver, and then it's a toss-up to be who is number 2, Ibuka or Njigba. I think that's clearly what's going to happen. I think Ibuka and Harrison Jr. are kind of neck and neck about who's the top receiver right now, but Harrison Jr. is clearly the go-to, and I might be leaning more so Harrison Jr.'s way after he was relied upon in single coverage, one-on-one, tight man-to-man coverage, and he was sometimes double coverage, and different coverages are thrown on his way. He is the guy, and it was a ball on the left side of the field that Stroud overthrew Harrison Jr. simply just by an arm's reach. It was few feet away from Harrison Jr.'s reach. If he catches that ball, we're talking about a different ball game. Harrison Jr. and Ibuka, they're on the field this year. And Njigba has only been on the field for 3 games. And my gut is telling me, I think he's done. I think he's done at Ohio State, probably going to the NFL, transfer portal. That will be a wild and crazy conversation we're going to have, especially this month as the transfer window opens up at the end of November, beginning of December. We'll see a lot of guys leave. Will Njigba be one of them? Wouldn't be shocked, but I personally am starting to think that his time at Ohio State is over, and it's unfortunate. A great player, fun receiver to watch, but injuries and how teams handle said injuries really are big factors in if a player stays at a school at the end of the season or if they decide to play football somewhere else. The Buckeyes offense is not going to play football somewhere else. They will, but it won't be in Columbus. It'll be in Evanston, Illinois this coming Saturday, and they have to fix some things. I got one thing the Buckeyes offense can fix going into the game with the Northwestern Wildcats on Saturday afternoon. What is it? We'll discuss it next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. This week's thrilling moment in college football is brought to you by Nissan. The thrilling designs behind the new lineup from Nissan are intended to empower drivers in vehicles as capable as the driver themselves. When I think of unbelievable abilities on the field for this week's thrilling moment, it has to be JT Tuimoloau's pick 6. I was really close to going to the play where he dropped back in a 2-point stance, more a linebacker set on the defensive line, dropped back and picked off the ball right in front of the running back when he was in coverage. But it's the pick 6, man. He read screen. He's read chop block from the offensive tackle, pushed the offensive tackle down. At the same time, the hands go all the way up. The next thing you know, pick the ball off, and he walks to the end zone, walks off like he is the man, because he is the man at Ohio State. And JTT, he is this week's Nissan thrilling moment. This segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today. Available now at NissanUSA.com. Thanks for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out Locked on Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports. Go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked on can provide. Locked on Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your fine podcast. So every week, I try to find a way the team can improve. Now, I mentioned some of them a day ago. The tackling can improve. The running game can improve. Situationally, capitalizing on different moments in the game. And you try to find things. You watch the film. You watch different cut-ups of things. You watch things on the YouTube. You may be lucky enough. I am not. I wish I was to have the coach's tape and the coach's film so that I could better get a more bird's eye view at what goes on the field. I don't have the capabilities yet, but I believe they are coming. And so I think about the team as a whole. Buckeyes offense, Buckeyes defense, special teams. What can they do to improve? The one spot I think is the offense, because we saw the offense flourish, score 4 quick touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Seemed like the Buckeyes offense that we had seen during the high moments. We saw them once again late in the fourth quarter, really throughout the entire fourth quarter against the Penn State Nittany Lions. And so I was starting to wonder, what did they do in that moment that didn't happen earlier in the game, or what specifically in the first 3 quarters were they struggling to do that they can do and work forward towards doing this coming weekend? And I don't care who the opponent is. These things are applicable to no matter who you're playing on the football field. Third down situations are very, very key. In Ohio State, in this game, I saw a third and – was it a 3rd and 6? I believe it was a 3rd and 6. This is coming right after Zach Harrison's interception. JTT red screen. He was unblocked in a play. 2 hands up, not one, but 2 hands up. Have a better job of deflecting a pass. If you have 2 hands up, not one, put 2 hands up, deflected a pass, went across the line of scrimmage to the opposite side of the offensive line to Zach Harrison. Zach Harrison intercepts the ball. Buckeyes get the ball. Next thing you know, the Buckeyes get the ball. The Buckeyes get the ball at 3rd and 6 now. The bubble screens weren't working all day. This was not the first time the Buckeyes ran a bubble screen, but you have to try. The one thing they can do is quickly and easily find ways to capitalize on turnovers the team has in the football game. Here's one. Zach Harrison, he gets the interception. 3rd and 6, bubble screen. What do you think can happen? Not something positive, and it wasn't positive. Tackled. They ended up having to get the ball back. Ended up being a field goal. They're actually in favorable field position. Noah Ruggles comes in for a 53-yard field goal, pushes it wide right. That was a call, not word for word, but that was part of the call from Gus Johnson on Fox. You have to be able to capitalize on good field position, but also when your team gets a turnover, score some points, preferably a touchdown, but put something on the board. Saying, y'all, later in the game, JTT got a pick 6. Hey, that's easy. That's easy 6 points. Oh, what happened prior to that when Ohio State was in their crazy 69-second run? What happened? We had a Marvin Harrison Jr. catch. We had a Travion Henderson touchdown run. Penn State gets the ball, 1st and 10. They gain 6 yards on 1st down. 2nd and 4. What happens? JT to a blowout, strip sack. What happens? The Buckeyes get the ball and cased over, goes in for a touchdown catch. What did they do in the fourth quarter? During a crucial point in the game, they capitalized on a turnover. It's not hard, man. Excuse me. It is hard. But elite teams do it. Championship teams, not just conference championship teams, but also national championship winning teams, they capitalize on the moments the defense gives the offense back after the defense captures a turnover. These are things that happen. In Ohio State, may it be Ryan Day's play calling, may it be situationally not understanding the situation right in front of you. Tongue twister. I gotta write that time. I'm proud of myself. It's going to happen again. I'm going to try and see what the next tongue twister comes and how I respond to it. But you have to find ways to capitalize on the moments when the opposition gives the ball back to your team. Capitalize on those moments. And you know what? I believe sometimes the coaches get in their own way. I wasn't planning on going this route, but as soon as I mentioned Ryan Day, something popped into my mind. Sometimes the coaches get into their own way. The coaches get into their own heads. Sometimes we all hear about it. I know my brother. My brother used to be a coach, volunteer coach at a local high school where I live, and the coach there won multiple state championships, a state championship at my former high school, the high school I went to, and the high school he was at when my brother was a volunteer coach. Not when my brother was there, but he didn't win a state championship there. There are conversations to be had about certain coaches that in big games or just simply in certain games, they get in their own way. They forget the simple things. Hey, 3rd and 6. You need 6 yards for a first down. Is it wise to throw a pass behind the line of scrimmage and make your offense go backwards before going forwards to get a first down? No, that's not wise. That's not wise at all. And honestly, that's elementary. Why would you want to do a bubble screen behind the line of scrimmage when you need to go 6 yards to get a first down? Don't get in your own way. It's not a good formula for success. And ultimately, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt the team. It's going to hurt a lot of people involved because you're getting in your own way. And there are coaches out there all over the place, not just at Ohio State, that get in their own way. There are coaches out there that when you think, hey, big game, they're going to rise to the occasion. They want the players to rise to the occasion. Then they need to do the same thing. Some coaches don't get that philosophy. Some coaches mess up and get in their own way. Don't do it. Don't let it happen. As a coach, you learn. And one thing we should do and learn, I heard it last year, heard it this year, after games, hey, we've never seen that before. We got to go to the film and see what we have seen. Well, how about you practice for different situations that you've never seen in a season at all? Because you might see them down the road, maybe even that week, and say, oh, we've seen that before. We saw it a couple days ago in practice, and here's how we responded. Here's one thing the Buckeyes will see again. I do believe because the team up north does it. Remember the times this week? I don't know how I got on this tangent. This is more defense. We're about to get up out of here. Talking about things you need to work on because you might see them down the road once again. Remember when Penn State came out in a T formation? Next thing you know, they put 4 guys out to the left side of the offense near the line of scrimmage, more of a quads bunch situation. Well, the team up north did the same thing against Michigan State this past weekend. It was 4 quads to the opposite side. Where might they see that again? The game against the team up north Thanksgiving weekend. And don't come to me after the game and say, oh, we never saw that before. But you have. Work on it. Advance, get better, and figure things out. Okay, I'm done with the changes. And that was the offensive conversation. I am talking about the defense. Hey, different things come up in a segment, and we're closing up shop. One thing the Buckeyes offense can do to fix, we just hit on it. But the running game, that needs a lot of change. What change could we see? How could it be fixed? Well, I'll tell you next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. I've told you about a lot of my friends before, and I've talked about Bob, talked about Chris. This one's about Mike. Mike is a Vegas resort concierge, and he was sweating through his suit coat on the job in less than an hour. And if you know anything about a suit coat or just a suit coat in general, you're probably going to be wearing it to a very important event, and you might be wearing it for longer than an hour. If you sweat through it within less than an hour, yeah, it's not a good formula for success. But then all of a sudden, the sweating problem ceased. Well, Mike found SweatBlock. Mike was able to fix his problem with the wonderful tools that are found inside SweatBlock. SweatBlock wipes are a must-have for everyone's toiletry bag. Whether it's a big presentation or a hot date, everyone can benefit. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try SweatBlock. Save 20% with promo code LOCKEDON at SweatBlock.com. Once again, you're able to save 20% by using the promo code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON at SweatBlock.com. Also available on Amazon. Okay, we talk about the offense, and just one thing specifically the offense can do, and that's really taking advantage of the turnovers that the defense creates and forces the offense to give the ball back to Ohio State. Hey, capitalize in those moments. And I'm not even focusing on the missed field goal on that particular drive that I mentioned. It's more the poor play call on 36. Let's throw the ball behind line of scrimmage instead of throwing the ball forward when we need to go forward to get a first down on this play. But the running game is really interesting. To me, it's more easy. It's simpler than you think, but it could be some outside the box thinking. Many of you know I live in the state of Indiana. I don't really hide that fact. And in this moment, in this time, I watched a lot of Indiana football. Not so much now as I've been covering Ohio State, but even when I was not, I would watch some Indiana football. And Kevin Wilson, the current OC at Ohio State and tight ends coach, was at the time Indiana's head coach. And what did he do? He always had a good run. Now, granted, his offense was good, had different things, but from Jordan Howard and other guys, Tevin Coleman, he found a way to recruit running backs, and those guys could get loose. They could skedaddle. If you want to go back to the old Oklahoma days, Kevin Wilson was the OC there. We all know about Oklahoma, Adrian Peterson, and what that offense was over there in Norman when Kevin Wilson was over there as the offensive coordinator of the Oklahoma Sooners. Good running game. And I firmly think part of the problem with the running game is not so much just with the play calling. Tony Alford is a running back, the running game coordinator. But I still think, and I've been thinking this for a while, maybe I haven't verbalized it here on the podcast, but here we go. Allow Kevin Wilson to have more involvement in the running game. Because I firmly think you put Kevin Wilson back into that spot, more his bread and butter, and allow him to do some of the things he did over at Oklahoma and over at Indiana. Not the best head coach. If I'm trying to put a guy on a short list and three coaches that could possibly be head coaches at the end of the season, I do this every offseason. I don't think Kevin Wilson's on that list because no matter if it's the high school level or the college level, he's not the best head coach out there. His teams flourish on offense when he's a head coach, but his teams also flourish when he's coaching. They flourish when he is the offensive coordinator and not the head man of the football team. Hey, let's simplify things. Allow Kevin Wilson to have more say in the running game because I firmly think some things could just simply be blocking, but it's better. I seriously think Kevin Wilson being that guy, altering things, would allow him and this offense to be the best they can be. Now, I have had this slight thought. I don't know how far I would run with it, but it has been a thought for a few weeks, not just one. Would Ryan Day be better if he wasn't calling plays and allowing somebody else to call the plays and to allow, let's just say, somebody else to have more play calling duties of the offense so Ryan Day can really be a coach and an overseer of the offense and defense, but not being the play caller down by down of the team. I don't foresee a time period of Ryan Day this season gives up play calling duties, but I wonder if at times when Ryan Day's calling plays, if at times he gets in his own way. I don't know, because I say that it's happened over a few times this year. But why in the world, running game specifically, are we doing things that don't work, but we're doing them over and over and over and over and over? Guys, it doesn't make sense. It's not rocket science. If it doesn't work the first time, doesn't work the second time, and you try to do it 2 minutes later, it's probably not going to work the third time either. I don't know what the solution is. I enjoy having Ryan Day call the plays. I wouldn't say maybe Ryan Day should not call plays if I didn't think Kevin Wilson was a capable play caller. I don't know what Brian Hartline is as a play caller. Justin Fry, Tony Alford. I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows what they are as play callers. So we're not going to go down that road. But I know what Kevin Wilson is as a play caller. I've seen the IU offense under Kevin Wilson. Not with this talent, but they were still a good offense, and Kevin Wilson always coached up a really good quarterback at Indiana as well. Hey, I don't know, but maybe the running game is probably a coaching issue, and maybe if there was a different play call, things might be different. It's a thought. Not sure I would go out there and take that to the bank and cash it, but it's simply a thought out there. And on a Tuesday, as we think about the Penn State game, wish you were talking about the Wisconsin game. As we talk about the Penn State game, that thought is still in my mind. We're out of here on a Monday. Wow, my days are all messed up. On a Tuesday, the first day in the month of November. Thanksgiving will be here before we know it. And the next football game will be here before we know it. The Buckeyes basketball team has an exhibition game tonight on BTN Plus at 7 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. Watch it. Watch numerous new Buckeyes wear the Buckeye jersey for the very first time tonight. Exhibition game will be at the Shots. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus the instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your fine podcast.